Salam alaikum. Let's follow up with another scary surah. Now that we're on the subject of death and judgment, this is Surat Takweer. And it begins probably more scary than the last one. But I think it's time we have to concentrate on these subjects. Because if we're going to be terrified, everyone is living in a state of uncertainty and unease and fear. Let's put it bluntly. After what we've been going through recently in our country and all over the world, but I think we feel some guilt. We should, as Americans. So we feel confusion and guilt. So what should we do? Rather than go get some gummies at your smoke shop and veg out or whatever it is most people are doing now. It's not just alcohol and the hard drugs. No, we have the little gummies that you can get delivered to your house and just lose your mind. Are you losing your mind over these things? Well, I would never try one, so I can't really say, but it's just another anesthesia. So you won't focus and you won't be aware. That's where I come in. I really do hate mind-altering anything. And one of the things I admit to that I was addicted to was music. It is a mind-alterer. So before I start this surah, I just want to tell you the hadith in case you forgot that the music grows hypocrisy like water grows vegetation. الغنى ينبت النفاق كالماء ينبت الوقر. Baql means vegetation. So some will argue and say, oh, no, you're too severe. That's that extremist viewpoint. There's nothing wrong with music. Well, this is a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, and if you're a Muslim, it's saying that it's going to bring hypocrisy into your heart. So that means you're going to say what you do not do and you'll be a pretender. So now that we're on the subject of the end of the world and the afterlife, you could at least try to chill. Like I've given it up. Fortunately, I've managed to, because truly it scares me. And I could say I'm 90% there, but every once in a while. That's how you know it's satanic, because all day long you're reading Quran and you're studying Hadith and you're praying your prayers. And I've been a Muslim for 41 years. And then every once in a while, Satan whispers, oh, come on, it's only Elvis. I just want to let you know that I am a normal person. Even though I became a Muslim when I was 40, you are who you are. And if I didn't have these warnings, if I didn't understand Arabic, it's not enough in English. No. You have to get it from the source. You have to study Arabic. You have to get it from the words of Allah. So every now and then I want to make sure you understand that human nature is one. And I grew up here. I didn't leave here until I was 40. So I grew up with all of extreme freedom, vanity in clothing and hair and makeup and boyfriends. And thanks to Allah, I never went the really bad path. But compare that life to this now, what we're going to talk about right now. And see, what do you think is going to be in your good stead when you're past and gone? And this life is so short, so brief, like the blink of an eye. Can't believe in a year and a half I'm going to be 80. Are you serious? What happened? What we just talked about. Allah said you can't imagine, you stayed only a day or two. Let's begin. This is a shorter surah, so I'll make it in two parts. Surat Takweer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت وإذا الإشار عطلت وإذا وحوش هشرت وإذا البحار سجرت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا موءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت وإذا الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة أزلفت علمت نفس ما أحضرت. So we're halfway down to verse 14 of Surat Takweer. You need a deep breath for this. Is it my age, or is this really kind of terrifying? In a good way, though. It's the words of Allah, so He means well for all of us. When the sun is wrapped up, in parentheses, in darkness, and when the stars fall dispersing, and when the mountains are removed, and when full-term she-camels are neglected, and when the wild beasts are gathered, and when the seas are filled with flame, and when the souls are paired, and when the girl who was buried alive is asked for what sin she was killed, and when the pages are spread about. I think we've reached the halfway point. Let me just double check. One more. Yes. A soul will know what it has brought, in parentheses, with it. So meaning what it has brought to the judgment. Now, there are many issues here I want to go over, are important. And I will go over them. But right now I want to finish the Arabic and finish the translation, and then we'll discuss some of my observances. فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع ثم أمين وما صاحبكم بمجنون ولقد رآه بالأفق المبين وما هو على الغيب بضنين وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم فأين تذهبون إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين لمن شاء منكم من يستقيم وما تشاءون إلى أن يشاء الله رب العالمين. So I swear by the retreating stars, those that run and disappear, and by the night as it closes in, and by the dawn when it breathes. Indeed, this is a word conveyed by a noble messenger. In parentheses, they put Jibreel, who is possessed of power and with the owner of the throne, secure in position. Obeyed there and trustworthy. And your companion is not at all mad. And he has already seen him, in parentheses, Jibreel, in the clear horizon. And he is not a withholder of the unseen. And it is not the word of a devil expelled. So where are you going? It is not except a reminder to the worlds. For whoever wills among you to take a right course. And you do not will except that Allah wills, Lord of the worlds. You know this last two sentences, it has to do with the Qada wa Qadr that we had just studied a few days ago. Because you will not want to take a right course unless Allah decrees it for you. Because it's not except a reminder. So this interpretation that there's some sort of force, even though Allah has already told you there's no force. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي. There's no force in this deen, and the truth has been made clear from falsehood. So when you decide upon the truth, and the majority of any place decides upon the truth, they may institute an Islamic law. Now, this is a huge subject that I'm not sure I'm willing to go into right now, but I'll make a little anecdote because I think my anecdotes and reality of my life are helpful. The first year I think I was in Cairo, and that great Sheikh Ismail, and I remember it, we were crossing the street, and I said to him, I knew no Arabic, like 4 words. I said to him, Sheikh Ismail, I don't understand this whole thing about making a law, a Sharia, because I knew some words, some tag words that everyone would mention. I said, but then it says there's no force in religion. So how does that work? I always had the hardest questions. And when I would ask some friends always through my years there, they would say to me, your questions are too hard. You need a big sheikh. And the reason for that is, not that I'm so clever. Oh, no. Quite the contrary. It's that I was overeducated. So I was too exposed to all the other weird conjectures that have no basis in anything worthwhile. But I had them all in my head. So that made me confused, perhaps, or more inquisitive about things, because I didn't memorize Quran. So when you memorize Quran, you change. The words of Allah change you. So let's get back to Sheikh Ismail and I crossing the street. And of course, he always just so quiet. He would never even, he just would get it, because he knew English. He was raised in Ghana. And he went to a Catholic school. Isn't that interesting? Yes. So I asked him the question about no compulsion in religion, and Allah has made the truth clear from falsehood. So why is everyone here all riled up about what they call terrorism and people calling for Sharia and extremism and the whole thing? That was there from the beginning. That was there before I even went. And he said, well, you as an American, you obeyed the law, didn't you? There was a law when you lived there, right? And I said, yes, of course. I never had a dot or a whisper of anything, criminal or anything that was against me. I was one of those goody two-shoes, That's one of those old-fashioned expressions. That's what they say about people who always want to do the right thing. And, the nuns, they put such a conscience in you, and they put the fear of the Lord in you. That's one thing. I hate the Pope, and I always speak against him, but those nuns, because they never had children, And they were entrusted with us that they would teach us. And my first grade teacher, the best Sister Mary Nicholas, that shows you the importance of a strong foundation. She was amazing in Aqidah. She literally taught me Asma Allah. He's all seeing, all knowing, all hearing. His judgment is fair, all this stuff. And then being little me, age 6 or 7, I'd think, well, wait a minute. That doesn't sound like Jesus. What are you talking about? I remember those days in Catholic school. My little fitra was so strong. I couldn't believe in Trinity. But then there were crosses all over the walls and statues. You couldn't walk out the door without statues of saints. And it was worth it. It was good. I can't speak against the nuns or my Catholic school, St. Agnes School, Arlington, Massachusetts. It's the Pope that I'm mad at. Does he care? Does he really care that I don't like that he's walking around teaching people the wrong thing? I call him the master magician. I'm sorry, I have to speak out. Now's not the time for wishy-washy explanations. It's 1 or it's 3, okay? Take your stand. Anyway, so Sheikh Ismail would say, you accepted to have a law, didn't you? I mean, you had police, you had military. You grew up in a very orderly, organized society. Would you say that the truth was clear from falsehood in that society? And there would be no compulsion? People just obeyed? And I said, well, not everyone. I did. But he said, oh, yes, you had criminals, didn't you? I said, oh, yeah, we had a lot of criminals. We knew well about criminals because we had so many films about them. It was just like too many films about them. And there was a history of organized crime in the 20th century. And I grew up hearing all about it, knowing all about it. And so the concept of having a law and criminals and those who were enforcing the law, you can say the police and the military, was well known to me. Now, here comes the sheikh talk. If you get a real sheikh who really knows how to talk, he said, okay, so let's transfer that knowledge that you have and experience that you lived over to the Arab world. You're in the Middle East now, and you're in the country that knows Quran, and they're experts at it. Do you think there ought to be this conundrum, this problem about calling people terrorists and calling people, extremists and all of this? He said, you already realize that there's a law, and there are those who enforce the law. And those who break the law get punished. So your question is, how much compulsion should be in this religion, right? Isn't that what you're talking about? Do we force people? Well, I'll return you back to your own nation. If the majority of people in America agree on what they want their society to be like, they will quietly accept the law. And it will be the minority who will go against the law and commit crimes. So when they get picked up by the cops, police, nobody's angry. People know that they committed a crime and they go to jail. So when you're trying to understand what Allah wants in this Quran, it really has to do with the qadr. Now, he didn't say the word qadr. I'm saying it to you because we've studied it. Allah knows what the people have heard. He knows what's in their hearts. And he knows what they're going to do even before they do it. Does that make sense? I hope so. Because I'm going to continue on with more qada wa qadar. But I just couldn't resist giving you let's say a reality check. In case you're confused, I'll tell you what Sheikh Ismail said. And I'll never meet another man like that for as long as I live. He was the Quran walking because he copied Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in every breath and every step. That's what we're supposed to do. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.